Part 1. Focus on you until you win. Men are driven by two principal impulses, love and fear. Niccolò Machiavelli. Focus on you until you win. Burn that command into your mind, because nobody else will. The world is not built to save you. It is built to test you. Fail the test, and you're not simply overlooked. You're consumed. Life is war. Civilization may distract you with comfort and entertainment, but beneath it all, the law of nature remains: predator and prey. Some hunt, others are hunted, and the ones who pretend this law doesn't exist are always the first to bleed. Weakness is never forgiven. It is punished. Those who cling to safety are crushed by those who sharpen themselves in silence. This is why you must focus on yourself first, not out of selfishness, but survival. Sharpen your edges until you become untouchable. Forge your mind into steel. Control your emotions as a master tames a wild beast. When you command yourself, no one can command you. That is how you rise above the masses. That is how you become dangerous. Think of every empire in history: Rome, Babylon, Egypt. All were built on one principle: domination. Never morality, never fairness. Domination. To live as though goodness alone will reward you is to remain a pawn on someone else's chessboard. Machiavelli said it best: "He who controls fear and respect controls the throne." So the question is simple: do you bow your head and wait for permission, or do you claim your place among those who rule themselves and, by extension, rule others? This path demands sacrifice. It demands discipline so ruthless that most will call you cold, heartless, even inhuman. Let them talk. Their words are the noise of the defeated. Your silence will be the roar of victory. So ask yourself, what are you? Predator or prey? Hunter or hunted? Ruler or ruled? If you understand, write it in the comments right now. I choose domination over submission. This is your awakening, and it begins today. Part 2, the law of power. The word makes the weak tremble. They whisper it like it's forbidden, but the strong, they breathe it like oxygen. Understand this: power is not just money. It is not just fame. It is not even strength alone. Power is control. Control over yourself, control over your environment, and when necessary, control over others. The law of power is brutally simple. If you do not shape the world will shape you. If you do not impose your will, someone else will impose theirs. Neutrality is an illusion. You are either bending reality or you are being bent. Machiavelli revealed that men are not guided by morality. They are guided by necessity. They are driven by fear. They are moved by advantage. Strip away the illusions, and you will see it everywhere. Every handshake is a negotiation. Every friendship is a trade of value. Every loyalty is conditional. The man who ignores this truth becomes a puppet. The man who masters it becomes untouchable. And power always begins within. If you cannot command yourself, you cannot command anything. Most men are slaves, not to chains, but to their impulses. They are ruled by fear, lust, envy, and distraction. They cannot resist temptation, cannot silence doubt, cannot control their own time. How can such men ever hope to rule beyond themselves? This is why your first conquest must be you. Your emotions, your habits, your desires. Until your will is unbreakable, you remain shackled. A man without self-mastery is nothing more than a marionette dancing for the amusement of others. But once you master yourself, you extend that mastery outward. Learn to read people as if their souls are open books. Notice the hunger in their eyes, the insecurities they try to hide, the cracks in their armor. Power is not about fighting everyone. It is about striking precisely, knowing exactly where and when to cut. And do not mistake this for chaos. Power without discipline is destruction. The reckless destroy themselves. The calculating build dynasties. You must learn to act not from emotion, but from strategy. Every word, every move, every silence must serve the greater mission, your ascension. For this, you will be hated. The powerless will call you manipulative. The weak will call you heartless. The defeated will call you dangerous, and they will be right. Because the man who understands the law of power is all of these things and more. He is the man who cannot be controlled, the man who cannot be bought, the man who cannot be broken. And in a world of slaves, that kind of man is a god among mortals. So engrave this law into your bones. Power first, everything else second. Build yourself into a fortress. Make your mind a weapon. Become the storm that commands respect before a word leaves your lips. When you do, the game changes forever. Not because the world has become kinder, but because you have become untouchable. So answer this now. Do you remain a sheep, or will you claim the throne reserved for predators? If you're serious, comment it below. Power is my birthright. Part 3. The strategy of silence and shadow. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Machiavelli. The most dangerous weapon is not your voice, it is your silence. The most feared men in history did not roar. They whispered. They cloaked their intentions in shadows and let their enemies drown in uncertainty. Caesar did not announce his every plan. He struck when others least expected. The Borgias ruled Italy not because they revealed everything, but because they revealed nothing. Here's the truth. When you speak too much, you hand over your power. Every word is a clue. Every opinion, a thread. Every careless confession, a knife someone else can use. The man who overshares bleeds power. The man who stays silent forces others to wonder, fear, and imagine, and their imagination will always make you more dangerous than reality. The world fears what it cannot read. The world respects what it cannot predict. Mystery is leverage. Silence is armor. So here is the strategy of shadows. Say less than necessary. In every conversation, let others reveal themselves. They will overexpose while you remain unreadable. Reveal selectively. When you do speak, let your words cut deep, sharp, minimal, unforgettable. Move in silence. Build your empire quietly. Win privately. Appear only when the victory is undeniable. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to reveal their true intentions. To expose your full hand is to give away your throne. Cloak yourself in unpredictability. Let them believe they know you. Let them underestimate you. Then strike where they never expected. Look around you. Most men cannot resist validation. They broadcast their every thought online, beg for recognition, and show their weaknesses like open wounds. They do not realize their noise makes them predictable, manipulable, powerless. But the man who is silent commands without demanding. His stillness creates pressure. His mystery creates respect. His absence speaks louder than another man shouting. Remember this. The enemy who cannot read your next move lives in fear of you. And fear, combined with uncertainty, is control. So ask yourself, are you leaking power through your tongue or building power through your silence? If you understand, comment this now. My silence is my weapon. Part 4. The Ruthlessness of Discipline. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Machiavelli. Ambition without discipline is delusion. Power without discipline is suicide. And here lies the downfall of most men. They want greatness, but they cannot even master their own mornings. Discipline is not optional. It is law. Without it, you are not ruled by another man. You are ruled by weakness. You are not conquered by armies. You are conquered by yourself. Think of a sword. Left unsharpened, it rusts. Once powerful, now useless. So too is a man without discipline. But sharpen yourself daily, cutting away excuses, laziness, and comfort, and you become a weapon fate itself cannot bend. Most men fail here. They dream big, but they cannot act small. They fantasize about empires, but they cannot resist indulgence. They want respect, but they waste their hours. Every excuse, every wasted second is betrayal against themselves. Do not dare blame the world for your failures if you cannot even control your own time. Machiavelli understood this. Men who cannot discipline themselves will always be ruled by those who can. The world rewards action, not intention, repetition, not inspiration, consistency, not comfort. Discipline is not glamorous. It is cold, relentless, boring to the weak, but it is the foundation of all empires. Caesar's legions marched farther and fought harder because discipline commanded them. Napoleon's soldiers endured hunger, cold, and fatigue because discipline forged them. Every great ruler, every conqueror, every titan, discipline was their crown. And here's the dark truth. The world punishes those who avoid pain. Pain is the currency of progress. Discipline is how you invest it. The man who invests pain wisely becomes wealthy in power. The man who avoids it becomes poor in destiny. So you must be ruthless, especially with yourself. When laziness whispers, crush it. When excuses rise, silence them. When weakness returns, execute it. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. Every second you indulge weakness, your rivals sharpen their claws. Every time you surrender to distraction, you fuel someone else's throne. Your old self must die for your new self to rule. Look in the mirror. Are you the master of your day or the slave of your excuses? Comment this now if you understand. My discipline is my crown. Because the man with ruthless discipline does not need permission. He does not need luck. He does not need anyone else. He is enough, and that man cannot be stopped. Part 5. Fear, respect, and control. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Niccolò Machiavelli. Two forces make men obey: fear and respect. Everything else, love, morality, admiration, is fragile. So I ask you, do you want applause or obedience? Do you want to be liked or obeyed? The man who seeks love will always kneel. Love is conditional. It disappears with moods, with convenience, with betrayal. But fear endures. Respect endures. Together they form control, the essence of power. Machiavelli knew this. A ruler who relies on love alone rules on sand. But a ruler who masters both fear and respect builds on stone. Yet beware, fear without respect is unstable. A tyrant who rules with cruelty alone invites rebellion. Respect without fear is weakness. People admire you, but do not obey. The true master blends both. He punishes without hesitation, but his competence commands admiration. His enemies hesitate. His allies stay loyal. His presence alone silences a room. So how do you craft this balance? Set boundaries instantly. The first time someone disrespects you, mark the line. The second time, enforce it. The third time must never exist. Weakness tolerated becomes weakness repeated. Be unpredictable. Never let others know how you'll respond. Uncertainty breeds pressure, and pressure is control. Prove competence. Respect is not demanded, it is earned. Master your craft so completely that even enemies must admire you. Caesar was feared, but his brilliance made him respected. That combination extended his reign. Withhold approval. In a world starving for validation, the man who rarely gives it becomes a king. Men will chase his respect like starving dogs chase meat. Do not confuse popularity with power. A man may be adored by millions, yet powerless in his own life. A true ruler may not be loved, but when he speaks, others move. So ask yourself, do people obey you because they want to, or because they must? Do they respect you only when you are useful, or even when you are gone? The weak bend for applause. The strong stand indifferent. He does not beg for love. He commands respect. He enforces fear when needed, and he rules because of it. Comment this now if you understand. I choose respect over love, fear over weakness. Because in the end, control is the throne, and only the feared and respected sit upon it. Part 6. The Art of Psychological Warfare. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Machiavelli. Every battle is fought twice, once in the mind and once in the world. Win the mind, and the body follows. This is the art of psychological warfare. Force is costly. Violence leaves scars. But the mind, control the mind, and you win without fighting. A man whose thoughts you command is no longer your enemy. He is your instrument. So how do you wage this invisible war? Control perception. Appear stronger than you are. Appear more ruthless, more untouchable. Perception becomes belief. Belief becomes reality. If they believe you are unbeatable, they won't even try. You win before the battle begins. Plant doubt. Doubt erodes confidence faster than any weapon. A whisper here, a silence there, a calculated phrase at the right moment. Once doubt enters the mind, the man is finished. He becomes his own destroyer. Control the frame. Whoever sets the narrative wins the fight. Do not argue within another man's frame. Force him into yours. If he thinks small, speak bigger. If he provokes with emotion, reply with calm logic. The man who controls the frame already controls the outcome. Be unpredictable. A predictable man can be countered, but an unpredictable man is feared. Uncertainty breeds hesitation, and hesitation is defeat. Use scarcity. What is rare becomes valuable. Be absent. Withdraw. Appear only when it benefits you. Your presence will feel like privilege. Scarcity creates desire. Scarcity creates fear of loss. Scarcity creates control. Psychological warfare is not noise. It is silence. It is the calm stare that unravels men more than shouting ever could. It is the pause that makes enemies second-guess their courage. It is the aura of inevitability that bends men's will without lifting a finger. And here's the secret. Most men are already defeated before the fight begins. Their self-doubt, their addiction to validation, their lack of discipline, they are walking weaknesses waiting to be exploited. All it takes is the right seed planted in their minds, and they will collapse under their own weight. This is not cruelty, it is realism. If you refuse to play this game, you become the game. Others are already manipulating you. Better to be the player than the prey. So, master this art. Appear stronger than you are. Plant doubt. Control the frame. Be unpredictable. Be scarce. Strike first in the mind. Comment this now if you understand. I conquer minds before battles, because the man who conquers minds never fears defeat. He has already won. Part 7. The Fortress of Emotional Control. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interest. Machiavelli. A man who cannot master his emotions will never master his destiny. He is a puppet, pulled by anger, seduced by lust, broken by fear. But the man who builds a fortress around his emotions becomes untouchable. Understand this. Your enemies don't need to outthink you if they can out-emotion you. They don't need to defeat you. They only need to provoke you, make you angry, make you reckless, make you desperate. The instant you lose control, they win. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear moved when useful, but to remain cold within. Emotion is a mask, never a master. History confirms this. Great men have fallen not for lack of intelligence, but for lack of control. Leaders destroyed by pride. Generals ruined by rage. Kings toppled by lust. Empires collapsed in moments of weakness. One rash outburst, one reckless desire, one careless slip. Centuries of power erased. You must be different. Where others rage, you must be calm. Where others panic, you must be still. Where others scream, you must be silent. Imagine a storm tearing the world apart. Lightning strikes, winds destroy, the weak are tossed like leaves. But you, the Machiavellian man, you stand unmoved like stone. Your calmness itself becomes terrifying. So build your fortress brick by brick. Anger, do not let it rule you. Anger makes men predictable. Channel it into precision instead of chaos. Fear, for most fear paralyzes. For you, it must sharpen. Let fear be signal, not master. Desire, lust, greed, vanity, these topple thrones. Master them or they enslave you. Ego, the deadliest of all. Enemies will bait it. Kill your ego or your ego will kill you. Control does not mean suppression. It means redirection. You still feel, but you decide when and how to unleash. And that choice is power. This is why emotional control is feared. Once you achieve it, you cannot be manipulated. Flattery won't seduce you. Threats won't move you. Insults won't break you. You are untouchable because your reactions belong only to you. And once you control yourself, you control every negotiation, every confrontation, every relationship. Kings have been overthrown, generals defeated, empires burned, all because of unchecked emotion. Do not join them. Comment this now if you understand. My emotions serve me. I do not serve them, because the man who controls himself controls the world. Part 8. The Power of Ruthless Adaptation. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Machiavelli. Rigidity is death. Adaptation is survival. The man who clings to the past, who refuses to change, who insists the world remains stable, he is doomed. The tide will swallow him whole. But the man who bends, who shifts, who evolves with ruthless precision, he thrives. Power moves. Alliances shift. Opportunities vanish overnight. The weak pray for stability, but the Machiavellian man thrives in chaos. He does not fear change. He weaponizes it. Adaptation is not compromise. It is control. You bend not because you are weak, but because you are strategic. You shift not because you are afraid, but because you are calculating. The oak that refuses to bend snaps in the storm. The reed bends, survives, and rises again. History is brutal proof. Rome, Persia, Egypt, giants thought eternal, reduced to dust. They mistook strength for permanence. They refused to evolve. They fell. You must be the opposite. You must be water, taking the shape of any container, yet never losing essence. You must be shadow, unpredictable, ungraspable, everywhere and nowhere. Adaptation requires two weapons: awareness. See the shift before others do. Read people. Read trends. Notice cracks before collapse. Most men react too late. You must move before the storm arrives. Ruthlessness. Once you see the change, act. Cut ties, drop strategies, burn bridges. The snake sheds its skin and does not mourn it. So too must you abandon identities, roles, or alliances that no longer serve your rise. Yes, they will call you heartless. They will call you disloyal. They will call you ruthless. Let them. Those are the words of men drowning because they clung to illusions. You will not drown. You will ride the waves. Adaptation also demands masks. To one man, you are fire. To another, you are ice. To one group, ally. To another, threat. Never let anyone define you. Never let anyone box you in. Be many things to many people, but always one thing to yourself: rising. The world rewards the adaptable and punishes the rigid. Remember, permanence is an illusion. Power belongs not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable. Comment this now if you understand. I adapt, therefore I dominate. Because the man who adapts without mercy cannot be stopped. He becomes a force of nature, and no one conquers nature. Part 9. The isolation of the elite. A prince is also respected when he is either a true friend or a true enemy. Machiavelli. Greatness is lonely. The climb to power is not crowded because few are willing to endure the silence, the sacrifice, and the separation it demands. The higher you rise, the more the crowd thins, not because you hate them, but because they cannot follow. Machiavelli knew this well. A ruler cannot live like the ruled. He must elevate himself, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. The herd craves comfort. The elite crave power. The two paths cannot merge. Isolation is not weakness. It is sharpening. Alone, you strip away noise. Alone, you hear your own voice. Alone, you see reality unfiltered by the illusions of the herd. But do not romanticize it. The path is brutal. Friends who swore loyalty will resent your rise. Family who wished for your success will not understand it. Lovers who promised eternity will leave when your fire burns too hot. Do not
hate them. They were not built for this climb. Isolation is your crucible. It burns away weakness. It exposes fear. It leaves only strength. Most men run from solitude because it terrifies them, but you must embrace it. Conquer yourself in silence, and no man alive can conquer you in the world. Look at history. Caesar crossed the Rubicon alone, knowing the Senate would brand him traitor or tyrant. Napoleon rose from obscurity, abandoned by allies until his victories forced loyalty. Every empire builder began in isolation. Every true ruler has endured solitude. The masses beg for attention. The elite cultivate silence. The masses drown in distraction. The elite forge thrones. When the elite emerge, they return transformed, sharper, colder, untouchable. But remember, isolation is a stage, not the destination. You will gather allies, soldiers, and loyalists, but only after you have proven you can stand without them. Only after the crucible has purified you. So ask yourself, do you have the courage to walk alone while others huddle together in weakness? Do you have the strength to embrace silence while others drown in noise? If you do, comment this now. I embrace isolation to rise above, because the path to power is walked by the few, feared by the many, and understood by none. Part 10. The final command. Dominate or be dominated. The ends justify the means. Machiavelli. Here is the truth you cannot escape. You will either dominate or you will be dominated. There is no neutral ground. Every man you meet is either climbing, falling, or crushed beneath another's will. Which are you? The weak comfort themselves with lies. They say life is fair. They dream of equality. They believe everyone can win. But reality is brutal. There are lions and there are lambs, commanders and followers, rulers and ruled. If you refuse to choose, life will choose for you, and you will not like the result. Domination is not just crowns and empires. It is control. Control over yourself. Control over your direction. Control over your space. It is refusing to kneel to weakness, distraction, or lesser men. So dominate yourself first. Master your impulses. Master your routines. Master your mind. Be the one man in the room who cannot be seduced, manipulated, or broken. Most men cannot do this. Do it, and you already stand above them. Then dominate your environment. Shape it to serve your mission. Cut away the distractions. Remove the parasites. Eliminate anything and anyone that pulls you backward. Do not explain. Do not justify. A king does not beg permission to rule. He enforces it. And yes, sometimes you must dominate others, not with cruelty, but with clarity. People crave direction. They crave strength. They crave leadership. If you do not lead, they will follow someone else. Why not you? Machiavelli wrote that men are driven by fear and self-interest. Learn this. Accept this. Use this. Inspire loyalty through strength. Inspire caution through presence. Be generous when it secures your throne. Be ruthless when it protects it. And never let mercy blind you to reality. Dominate with calculation, not chaos. Every word must carry weight. Every silence must create pressure. Every move must advance your mission. Domination is not loud. It is not desperate. It is inevitable, like a mountain that will not move, like a storm that cannot be stopped. Engrave this law into your bones. The world is not built for fairness. It is built for conquest. If you are not the conqueror, you are the conquered. So which will you choose? Comment this right now. I refuse to be dominated. I will dominate. Write it as a declaration. Say it with conviction, because once you accept this truth, your life will never be the same. Dominate your habits. Dominate your emotions. Dominate your rivals. Dominate your world. Only then will you stand untouchable. Only then will you sit on the throne reserved for predators. This is your final command. Dominate or be dominated. And if you want more ruthless weapons for your mind, more Machiavellian lessons to sharpen your edge, subscribe to Ruthless Psychology. Join this community of predators who dare to see the world as it is, not as the herd wishes it to be. The war never ends. This is only the beginning. Now go. Focus on you until you win, and do not stop until the world knows your name.